What's up, guys? Ian here, coach of your Ladner Lanturn, bringing you guys a Week 8 match in Red, Season 8 in the Yellow Division, taking on David or Recon Jack and the Pittsburgh Magic Guards. Big fan of David. He is a turtle lover, and yeah, freedom supporter, and just an all-around cool guy. Big fan. So yeah, let's run through his team then. Tapu Koko, Mega Charizard X, Scizor, Tangrowth, Gliscor, Gengar, Pangoro, Slowking, Miltank. That was really fast. He has the only 9-mon roster in our division, and I was scared of a lot of it. I really thought that anything could come. I cannot tell you how happy I am to see the 6 that he brought rather than the 3 that he didn't. I really didn't prep that hard for Scizor. I guess he kind of realized that Entei and Suicune punished Scizor enough, or maybe he wasn't expecting the Clefable, or maybe thought that the Gengar was enough to deal with Clefable. Because honestly, the team that he brought, Clefable deals with a lot better than a team without Gliscor Scizor. And so Gliscor not being there is actually kind of big, because I did prep relatively hard for the Gliscor. I popped HP Ice on a bunch of stuff. I opted not to bring my Keldeo because I thought that the Slowking was going to come, and it didn't come. So yeah, if I ever rematch him, I am 100% bringing Keldeo against this man, because it looks like it puts in a shitload of work to me. If you haven't seen the team builder, check it out. I'll do a really quick rundown. I'm Rocky Helmet, Roarcoon. I'm a Scarf Chomp. I'm Assault Vest Reuniclus for the Coco. I'm Vintay, which is a Toxic Stalling Sub-Protect Entei. I'm running Hex Rotom to punish the Gliscor, and it's just kind of a unique offensive Rotom there. And then I'm an Assault Vest Persian, which is supposed to be my Gengar answer, because the rest of my team didn't really deal with Gengar. And yeah, so that's what that is. So to start things off here, I am just going to lead with my Entei. It's got a really good matchup against anything except for the Coco, of course. But if he wants to lead Coco, I can just go hard into Reuniclus and then move on from there. Yeah, I'm fine with an Entei lead against the Zard, because I can just click Toxic and then deal with it that way. Miltank, if he wants to get up rocks, again, I just click Toxic and go from there. So that is what I'm going to do, and we are up against the Miltank here. So I'm just going to click sub right off the bat on what I expect to be rocks. I'm definitely expecting him to be like physically defensive thick fat. It would make the most sense as an actual Entei check, because the rest of his team can't really handle it unless he wanted to invest defensively in the Charizard. So we missed the first Toxic, that bodes pretty poorly, and we see that it takes 2 Body Slams to break my sub, so I'm really glad I'm max HP, which just means I can continuously sub and get rid of these Body Slams. So there's the Heal Bell, and I noticed something in the game, then I learned something today about pressure, as he goes in the Gengar predicting the Toxic, and then he's going to go into the Miltank predicting the Sacred Fire, which I'm not going to go for. I go for the Protect instead to scout it and see what the Gengar wants to do. It's April Fool's Day, so there's like a little sign that shows up for sub. Yeah, so in terms of what I discovered with pressure is that it doesn't stall out Milk Drink or Heal Bell because they are not targeting me. So that's actually really interesting that it's like that, because I am trying to pressure stall him out of either attacks or his status moves, but he's got a lot of status moves, and I can stall him out of rocks potentially because they go on my side of the field, and that apparently decreases it by 2, but I can't stall him out effectively of Heal Bell or Milk Drink unless he just gets like effectively low on the Miltank and is required to click either Heal Bell or Milk Drink. I don't want to blow all of my Sacred Fires on this either, so we're sitting in a pretty bad spot in terms of how I'm going to be able to pressure stall him, just because I'm not going to have as much PP as he is because I opted to go Sacred Fire over something like Flamethrower. So I am a little bit sad about that, actually. I was considering changing it, and I didn't. And I should have, because that would have done more, because he was Fizz-Def Miltank and not Spidef Miltank. But now the Charizard comes in, I'm going to be able to Toxic the Zard, and then we're just going to start stalling the Zard out of health here as I Protect to get a little bit more Toxic damage on him. I don't care all that much if he Dragon Dances, just because I can kind of Toxic stall him out if he doesn't have Earthquake. It doesn't look like he's got Earthquake to me. It looks like he maybe gave up Earthquake for the Thunder Punch for Suicune. And so he is going to switch out, but not before he took a hefty chunk on the Charizard there. He's down to 64%, which is a really good range. It means I basically don't have to get rocks up ever with Garchomp. So, you know, he's going to get more of a value heal bell off here because he's curing the Charizard and the Miltank. And then I believe he's going to go... Okay, so he goes into Tangrowth here, and he's going to heal bell off this Toxic again later. But the Tangrowth can't really touch me, and so he's going to go back into the Miltank scouting the Sacred Fire, but I actually go for the Protect. You know, he could just be continuously switching if he wanted to actually continuously stall out my Entei. And here's where we're going to get into him just setting up rocks on my Entei over and over and over again. You know, Entei hasn't had a reason to switch out, and so I'm somewhat effectively stalling him out of moves right now, but not really. Just a little side note here, because we beat Beery last week and David won, he actually won in between the time where I filmed the team builder and the battle, so he is 6-1 plus 21, which is top of the table. So we played 2 top of the table opponents back-to-back, essentially, because I beat Beery last week. And then we were actually right behind Beery, I believe, who would have been 6-1 as well. So he's going to go into Gengar now, and then I'm going to predict him to do the opposite of what he did last time. And I'm just going to pause this because I thought this was a really good move on my part, at least, just hitting this thing. Yeah, so I expected him to do the opposite of what he did last time, which was switch. And so he's probably going to protect maybe. It's kind of cool that we see the Life Orb there because it means that the Sacred Fire plus the burn damage, which apparently rounds up in this iteration of the game, is going to be able to kill it. Now, unfortunately, it does bring in Coco, and here's where we get into sort of the more spicy part of the game, as now Entei is forced to switch out. I can't really stay in on the Coco, although I would love to just get a Toxic off on its face or click Sacred Fire. I don't see myself being able to get 2 attacks off, and so it's not really worth it for me to stay in here. So I'm just going to go hard into the Reuniclus, which is my check to this. Because I'm Regenerator, I am not going to have the ability to survive Rocks plus a T-Bolt plus a Z-move. Unfortunately for me, the Z-move set was able to break me, but Rotom-Mow can come in. This is my secondary check, and I'm going to go for a Toxic, which misses the Tangrowth, and then I'm going to go for another Toxic here, which is also going to miss the Tangrowth. And those are actually kind of big, especially the second one there, because he gets big Sludge Bomb damage off on me. My strategy was I was going to Toxic the Tangrowth, Hex it, and then Pain Split. No, Toxic Tangrowth, HP Fire it, and then click Pain Split when he had dealt damage to me, just to get a ton of HP back on Rotom because of how low Rotom's base HP stat is versus how high Tangrowth's is, and then hex it to death was the idea behind that. But missing 2 Toxics really sucks right there, because it means that my Rotom-Mow is going to be much weaker when I get out of this exchange, and I actually think that this is really big heading into the end game. You know, you'd think it's 2 inconspicuous turns where I just miss Toxic in the middle of the game. Yeah, spoiler alert, this goes past 60 turns, but it actually really matters in the end game, in my opinion, just because of how healthy this could have been, and maybe a situation where I don't die to the Coco coming in after. As you can see, the Pain Split just got me a ton of HP back there. I can definitely live another Sludge Bomb, so I'm going to go for the Toxic again, as he's going to knock off my lefties here, and I believe I'm going to go for Pain Split one more time. Yeah, we get up to a sizable amount of HP that I can live another Sludge Bomb, and then as long as he doesn't poison me, which he doesn't, I can kill him with the Hex here. So unfortunately, Rotom is left at 6%, and I didn't bring removal, so it's not really worth my time to do anything but just sack my Rotom here to the Coco, which lets me bring my Garchomp. Now, the good thing about that Tangrowth dying is that he doesn't have an Earthquake switch in, really. Like, he doesn't have a resist for Earthquake at all anymore, and yeah, so we're going to see that the Miltank is actually going to eat this really well, though. And it does 32, and there's 38. I could have gone for the crit there, but I decided not to. I just wanted to go into Persian, get rid of his leftovers, and just work him down that way. Yeah, I wasn't entirely sure where I want to go with that, but he's going to get a crit Body Slam on my Persian, which is pretty unfortunate. I'm just going to U-turn out of my Entei and go back to the Entei shenanigans, but he is going to Body Slam me again, and he's going to paralyze me this time. So that actually really sucks, and he should be doing 24% that time, which is really weird, but I guess that's why he was breaking my subs. I get fully paralyzed on a turn where I would have clicked Toxic, could have wasted another Heal Bell or another Milk Drink and whatnot, and then I do get the Toxic off. So all this hacks against me is actually, like, you wouldn't think that it's piling up that much, but I shouldn't have clicked sub there either. I definitely should have clicked protect the turn after the Toxic. He's down to 1 Body Slam, so he can only attack me 1 more time, and that'll kill me. If he wants to go for the Body Slam, I am just going to stall out a Heal Bell here. I could have got that out earlier had I actually been able to not be fully paralyzed, and I am just going to stall him out of his final Body Slam here. So this Miltank is no longer a problem in terms of doing damage. It literally cannot touch me with anything. Like, he can't do anything to my Suicune, so it does let me get off a free Toxic, and the Zardex is going to come in on that Toxic. I'm going to go for a Scald on his Dragonite, and then I'm going to go for another Scald as he's going to attack me. No, I'm going to sack off the Persian here. That's what I'm going to do, yeah. So I wanted to keep Suicune healthy for the Pangoro, so I'm just going to sack off the Persian to this Charizard, and he does confirm to have dropped Earthquake for Thunder Punch for the Suicune, which is what I was expecting, honestly. And so now I'm in a situation where I'm not sure what's going to come in here. If it's going to be the Pangoro or the Koko. I know Miltank isn't going to come in. If the Koko comes in, then I'm definitely in a better spot to go Garchomp. Because he actually doesn't have a switch in. He'd have to probably switch into Pangoro, maybe eat a hit and try and kill me from there. Or he would just have to give up the Koko, and then from there Suicune should be able to win. Because Suicune should easily be able to beat the Miltank with no problems. And so if I just kept Garchomp in the back to maybe revenge kill Pangoro at some point, I could do that. Yeah, so that's what's going through my head at the very least right now, as I am going to go into the Garchomp predicting the Koko, but it was really a 50-50 call on this turn, and this is kind of where it comes down to the game here. I can't kill him in one shot. I can't click Outrage because there's a Koko there, and this is my way of beating the said Koko. So I'm going to double into my Suicune and try and punish him with a little bit of Rocky Helmet damage as he goes for the bulk up. And at this point, I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm clicking Roar. And luckily for me, it brings out the Miltank. Had that brought up the Koko, I would have been in a much worse situation. And then the Miltank comes in, I'm just going to click Scald. I was fine with clicking Scald against the Miltank. So catch the Pangoro, and I'm not going to burn him this turn, but he is going to kill me with the knockoff there and take a ton of Rocky Helmet damage. So Garchomp can come in. Only move I can lock myself into is the Earthquake. It's going to be the strongest move. We are going to take out the Pangoro, and as much as David just says that he lost, he does not, because I am never going to crit this Miltank. And he's actually going to stall me out of Earthquakes with all of the Milk Drinks that he has. Yeah, so pretty disappointing, because I actually think a lot of the hacks building up to this could have put me in a situation where I beat this Miltank instead of it actually stalling me out, even though I was pressure stalling it. So, number one, I did not know that Heal Bell, Milk Drink, like moves that don't target you are not affected by pressure. I did not know that, so that is actually really good to know for the future. Number two, had I got the Toxics off on the Tangrowth, I could have been in a better spot with the Rotom-Mow. I would have been at a much higher health. Maybe I saved the Rotom-Mow to get a Toxic off on the Miltank. Some shenanigans like that, or at the very least Pain Split against the Miltank when all he has is this sort of support moveset here. Then maybe I'm in a good spot. I can tell you I would have 100% kept the Rotom-Mow alive, and I would have sacked Persian if I wasn't that low. Number three, had I not got full parried with the Entei, I could have maybe stalled out at least one more Milk Drink on this Miltank and maybe put myself in a position where I can win with Garchomp at the end if I get a crit or something. Maybe not. And I think there was a fourth one. No, that was about it, actually. I maybe should have knocked off the Miltank earlier. But really, it was a large misplay of mine having Sacred Fire in prep over just Flamethrower. Granted, I killed the Gengar, right? With the Sacred Fire and the burn. But had I had Flamethrower, I would have been able to stay in on the Miltank. And so even though he's Stick Fat, he would have been Fizz-Def against my specially offensive Entei. And so I'm a little bit sad that I didn't get myself to that point where I had more moves to work with Entei so that I would never have to switch it in on Body Slam. Because maybe if I have Flamethrower and that whole thing plays out the same way that it did, then I sack Persian to the Body Slam from the Miltank instead. Just go for more damage on it or something. And I just sack Persian to the Body Slam so I can bring Entei in safely. I'm not entirely sure. There were definitely a few ways I could have won this game. I looked at this in prep and I thought it was a much more difficult matchup than it actually was on paper, just because I kind of brought like a super cancer team. I know he wasn't super thrilled with the pressure stall. David, if you watch the team builder, you'll understand completely why I thought that I felt like I had to bring this. I just really felt pressured by all 9 Pokemon, and this was my best strategy to bring against that. Suicune wasn't meant to be a pressure staller anyways, but I didn't really need the Tailwind support. It was really only there if I needed to outspeed Gengar and Coco and whatnot. So, yeah, I don't really know what to say more on that. Kind of sad that we're 5-3, but I'm happy that we're plus 10 differential at the very least. David's now 7-1, and I believe that clinches a playoff spot for him with only 2 weeks to go. So he's in a really good spot for playoffs. He's in a really good spot to get a bye in playoffs, and so I would like to match up against him again in playoffs. I know he probably doesn't want to face the pressure stall, but my ideas on how to change the team I think would make this a lot better. And I don't think he has all that many places he can go with changing a team, except maybe dropping Tangrowth for Slowking would be a little bit more effective. I don't think Tangrowth does that much for him, but if he's really scared of an offensive Rotom-Mow, then it definitely does. So yeah, there's a lot of different ways I could have gone with this game, and I I don't think I choked at any points. I think that Hacks got a little bit of the better of me, and I have no excuses because I was running pressure stall. Had the Hacks gone a little bit more in my favor, then who knows where I'd be talking about this game and what my record would be talking about this game. I did get crits twice or just once. No, twice, just once. Oh well, it doesn't really matter in terms of crits, but the toxic misses definitely mattered a lot more. In regards to how many times I clicked toxic, though, you kind of expect it to miss that many times. When I clicked it, probably close to 20 times this game. Must be close to that. Missing it three or four times. Missing it 3 or 4 times really is like a little bit on the high side still, even with 20 clicks, though. Anyways, that's enough of me whining a little bit about how this game went. Next week we take on Lonely and the Lowell Spinda. Interesting matchup. Lonely is not doing well this season. I believe he's 2-5 at the time of me recording this, and he's not really looking like he will be primed for a playoff spot unless he wins out. And so I really need to win. I need at least 1 win out of my last 2 games to just put myself in a really comfortable position for playoffs. And we play Lonely and Shiny Spam in the next 2 weeks. We played Shiny last season. He beat us 1-0 with his nasty Mew Mega Mobile Garchomp team. Now he's got Kyurem Black Mega D and he's Zapdos, which is also really scary. And yeah, so keep an eye out for our match against Lonely, and hopefully we'll pick up a W in one of the last 2 games and push ourselves up to that 6-win mark, which I will feel much more comfortable about making playoffs with, unless we can make playoffs 5-5 with a really good differential. I would still really love to chase that bye, so if I can go 7-3, I will absolutely go for it. That's going to be for me, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys for the next one.